Ever try to add graphics to your footage only to have them float, slide, or just look fake? The secret is simple: 3D camera tracking in After Effects. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your motion graphics stick to the scene like they were shot there in camera. Hey everyone, my name is Cameron with Motion Science, and for this example, I'm using a shot of a gymnast in motion. The goal here is to add a motion graphic that feels like it's part of the original scene with the same camera movement and the same perspective. And this is where 3D camera tracking comes in. After Effects can analyze the shot, recreate the camera movement in 3D space, and let you lock in graphics to the scene so that they move with the footage instead of floating on top. Okay, so here we are in After Effects, and the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna go up to Animation, and we're gonna go down to Track Camera, and immediately After Effects is gonna start analyzing in the background, and you can see over here in the effects window that the 3D camera tracker has been added. It's going to move through this shot pretty quickly. You can see that there's just a few seconds remaining. It's moving through all the frames. And the most important thing we want to look at here when this is all said and done is under Advanced. So it's going to solve a camera, and we're going to open up the Advanced tab here, and we're going to make sure that the average error is below 1 pixel. And we are at 0.89 pixels, so that is usable. If you want to try detailed analysis, you can click here and it'll resolve the scene. Sometimes this makes it worse, sometimes it's better. We're going to move up here to track point size. We're going to increase these so you can see here on the screen. These are our tracking points. And I'm not going to go into all the details of what these parameters are, but the main ones are shot type. You want to look at, you're going to also want to look at this solve method here. And for the most part, After Effects does a really good job on its own of tracking the camera. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find some points here that I want to track. And I know I want to set a graphic back here in the background. So I want to find 3 points that kind of line up roughly with what I'm looking to do here. So I'm just kind of moving between these points, and actually I'm going to turn down these trackers. I'm just trying to look for like a flat scene. This is pretty close here. It may work. So let's go ahead and just click there, and we can right click and we can say create text in camera, create solid in camera, create null in camera. These are the 3 typical ones that I would choose from. I'm going to select null and camera, and you can see it immediately creates a null and a camera. So let's move into the next comp here, and you can see I have my null and my camera here. Now I have moved my null back in 3D space here, which is pretty typical. So you can see my null is here. I want to push it back in 3D space, maybe rotate it with the R, maybe move it down. I'm looking at this line right here, and I want to make sure that everything aligns with that line. So I'm going to turn it on the Y. You know, maybe look at some of these lines like so. It looks like that's lining up pretty well. And if I kind of scrub through my timeline here, you can see that it's working pretty well there. So we'll move back into comp B here, and you can see this is what I did. I kind of tweaked it a little bit and moved it back in 3D space. So it's just sitting back here like so. So I've got a null, a camera, and my footage. So moving into comp C, what I did here is I took a graphic, and it's a pre-comp graphic. So if I double click this graphic, you can see there's transparency here. If I turn the transparency off, just so it's a little bit easier to see, this is just a very simple set of shape layers that animate on. So it kind of just does this rotation from right to left. And this is our graphic. So what we've done here is we've taken our graphic, we made it a 3D layer, and we hold down Shift, Parent, and drag it over the null object. And that parents our graphic to this tracked null. Now we also have to scale this way up because at 100%, you can see our graphic is very, very tiny in the scene here. So we scale it up to 1,445%, and it's just now sitting here in the scene. Now, one thing that really stands out is that it's sitting over the top of the vault as well as the top of the gymnast. And we need to make it look more believable now that it's tracked in the scene. So we're going to take it a step further and move into our next comp here, where we have rotoed the gymnast and the vault. So we've got our original footage. We have the graphic that is now tracked in. We also have the camera. If we wanted to, we could eliminate the null or just turn it off. And then the next thing we have here is some footage. If I solo it by itself, this is the gymnast that we applied the Roto Brush to. And you can see the gymnast is now cut out. And the gymnast is sitting over the top of the graphic. So if I solo this and move forward here, you're going to see the gymnast is over the top of the graphic. Now the other problem we had was the vault. So We've duplicated the footage again. We've applied the Roto Brush again. And if I solo this, this is the vault sitting over the top of the graphic. So with those two pieces of footage sitting over the top of the vault, I can unsolo them. Now the graphic looks like it's actually living in the footage, right? Because these two pieces of footage are rotated over the top of it. And because we took the time to 3D track this, the graphic literally lives in this world. Now we can take this one step further, and this is the motion science difference. And what we did here is we added an adjustment layer with noise over the top of it. And you can see this noise is one of our tricks for cinematic motion design. It really just kind of brings everything together. So if you pay attention to this graphic, if I turn the noise off, yeah, it looks believable, but we can make it look like it blends even more into the footage by just turning that noise layer on. And now it's living in this world. Yeah, look how nice that looks. And that's what I got for you on 3D camera tracking in After Effects. I'll see you in the next lesson.